All right, so this is the last module for chapter 11, module 6, and it's talking about equations of a circle. So I have a picture here of what your notebook should look like on page 162, 163. This is the page where we fill in. Here we have some work to do, and I honestly think this module might be the easiest one in the chapter. You'll have to let me know if you agree with me or not. So go ahead and make sure you're on page 162 in your notebook. And the first thing I want you to do is I want you to write the equation of a circle and define the variables. So the equation looks like this. Parentheses x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And where h and k is the center of the circle and r is the radius. So circles are really easy to graph because all you need to know is where's the center and how much is the radius, and then you can make a circle. So here they want us to graph this circle. And so we have an example here. And so this is my equation. So it says x minus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals, and then they have here 2 squared. And a lot of times you're not going to see 2 squared, but you'll actually see the number 4. So the first thing you have to figure out is what is the center. And so with the center, it's not -2, -3, because they have these negative signs in the original equation. So it's opposite. So that's why it's +2, +3. So if I'm graphing that, I first find the point 2, 3. That's the center of my circle here. I'm going to change to a different color so we can see. That's the center of my circle. Then the radius. If they have the whole number 4, you have to square root. Whatever value they have here, you have to square root. And we know the square root of 4 is the whole number 2. If they wrote 2 squared, then you know they already told you, gave you a hint that the radius is 2. So from the center, I go down to, make a point. I go right to, I go up to, I go left to. Okay, so then I have 4 points, and then the thing you got to remember is when I connect them, I don't connect them like a square. We're not making a square, we're making a circle. So when I connect those points, I make sure it's curved. If I have a compass, I put the sharp end of the compass here, I open it up here, and then I swoop around and make a circle. If you have a compass, you actually can make a really nice circle. And then a couple of things to remind us, area of a circle. Area of a circle is pi r squared. If it's a piece of a circle, then it's whatever that angle measure is over 360 times that part of a circle. And that's just reminding us about that formula because we've done areas and sectors of a circle before. And so they just want us to remember that. So if I look over here, okay, I can see that my radius is 7, so that's where the 7 squared is because pi r squared is the area of a circle. And then where did they get the 35? It's 35 degrees over 360. The reason why it's over 360, a whole circle is 360 degrees. So you just multiply that out with your calculator, and that's how they got that value, just a reminder. Okay, so now some problems. They said they want us to write the equation. Okay, so the equation, you should have it on your page. I'm going to write it here. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Okay, so we have to keep that equation in our head. Opposite, opposite squared. So opposite, opposite squared. So it's going to be x plus 14 squared plus y minus 16 squared equals 4 because 2 times 2 is 4. All right. Super easy. If you think you can jump ahead, do them real quick, go ahead, pause it. If not, we're going to go over it. Next one, remember, opposite, opposite squared. So it's going to be x minus 4 squared plus y minus 8 squared equals 64. Okay, those were both really easy. Okay, I'm going to do this one next. And I'm going to write it just like it is, opposite, opposite squared. So I'm going to go x minus 0 squared plus y plus 14 squared equals 5 because I know square root of 5 squared is 5. Now this one is not finished because do we ever say minus 0? No. So we switch it to say x squared plus and then y plus 14 squared equals 5. So it gets a little bit nicer. If you left it like this, you're not wrong, but that's not how we do it. And then the last one, opposite, opposite square. So it's going to be x minus 11 squared plus y minus 12 squared equals. Now this one might be a little hard for you. So I'm going to just work it out for you. 4 square root of 3 squared. That's the same thing as saying this, right? So 4 times 4 is 16. Square root of 3 times square root of 3 is 9, which means 3 times 3, which means a 3 can come out, which means I've got to do 16 times 3, and I get 48. If you're not really sure how that turned into 48, you can ask me, but you should be able to figure that one out. So this is super easy writing equations if you're given the center, if you're given the radius. Now the next one, they want me to graph them. So in order to graph them, I need to figure out what is the center, what is the radius, how do I graph it? So remember, it's opposite squared. So that means this would be negative 3 over 2. This would be positive 4. And then this would be the square root of 9, which is the whole number 3. Now, graphing this point, this is also negative 1.5. I'm not going to be able to perfectly graph it because that 1.5 is not a perfect spot. It's not a lattice point, but I can still graph it and estimate. So I'm going to go negative 1.5, and then I'm going to go up 4. Okay, so that's halfway in the middle. Now my radius is 3, so I'm going to go 3 here, but it's in the half. So 1, 2, 3, so that's one edge of my circle. 1, 2, 3, that's the middle there, and it's in the middle of that. It's a little bit hard to see, my line's fat. Okay, and then I'm going to go up 3. This is easy. 1, 2, 3. Erase those marks. Down 3. 1, 2, 3. Now at this point, notice these are in the middle of that though. Now it looks like if I connected already in a square, so I want to go ahead and make sure when I connect it nicely so that it's curved. It's more like a circle. If I had a compass, I would use it. All right, next one, opposite squared. So it's going to be negative 1. There's nothing here, so that's 0. And then what is the square root of 36? Why, it is 6. So I'm going to graph the point negative 1, 0. And my radius is 6. So I'm going to go 6 this way to the right. I'm going to go 6 to the left. I'm going to go 6 down. I'm going to go 6 up. And then I'm going to connect it with a curve. Like I said, if I had a compass, that's what I would want to use with that.